Before we talk about where we are, we must first remember from whence we came. Marty Schottenheimer brought winning football back to Kansas City and built what is now known as Chiefs Kingdom.
We transitioned from a team built on its defense in the 90s to one of the most dominant offenses and return men in NFL history, led by Dick Vermeil.
In 2012, a 2-14 Chiefs team displayed disastrous play on the field and turmoil off it. We asked to save our Chiefs, and in came Andy Reid, who immediately turned this franchise into a perennial playoff team.
Then, on April 27, 2017, the Chiefs broke free from their journeyman quarterback restraints and drafted Patrick LeVon Mahomes.
In 6 years with Patrick at the helm, we're back-to-back champs and a dynasty headed towards a three-peat. We are unrelenting for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the allies. Arrowhead allies.
Well, things might look just a little bit different this week on Arrowhead Allies. It's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday, and no, there's no Brian, there's no Lance, there's no Shane, but there is the Godfather of Kansas City Sports Talk. It's Frank Boal. He's joining us just in time. There's just something about Kansas City, and there's just something about schedule releases that get the internet, that get Chiefs fans up in arms. No weddings, no Halloween hay rides. Forget about Christmas, Frank, this year. It's all about this Chiefs schedule. Get in, get your plans made. That's what we live by.
Money. They're playing. Did I lose you?
I think we got you back here.
Did I lose you guys? Did I lose you?
I think
we got you back. Yeah.
Okay, you sure? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Like Black Friday, you're going to save some money because nobody's going to be out shopping. So they'll be watching the Chiefs play football. So they'll be pretty good. They have some pretty interesting spots in the schedule. Obviously, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about other things as well. But the first two games obviously got everybody's attention. And then toward the end of the season, those 3 games in a row in 10 days, right at the end of football season, just before week 18, that is going to be a struggle for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially coming down the stretch. You know, what's it going to mean? Who's healthy? Who's hurt? So let's talk about the schedule.
Yeah, you got it right there, Clint. We're opening up, and we've got the Baltimore Ravens at home. I might have thought maybe it would be the Saints. Maybe they want to save some of those matchups for later on. Playoff scenarios are in the mix. But no, we start off right out of the gate with the Ravens and Bengals at home, and those are 2 primetime matchups. Maybe they're just trying to keep Joe Burrow in this thing. Hey, he's going to be healthy at least the first 2 weeks, so we got to get him against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and then you see on the road twice. This schedule's all over the place, guys. You've got road games. You've got 2 Monday night football games at Arrowhead Stadium, both against NFC South opponents in the Saints and the Buccaneers. You've got Christmas Day. You got Black Friday. God forbid that be taking place during the Missouri-Arkansas game, which is typically moved to Black Friday at that exact same kickoff time. My head's exploding, guys. I can't keep it straight. This is nuts. And Frank, like you said, that last 3 weeks of the season is going to decide a lot. The hope is maybe you've got a seed locked up and you could rest some starters during that pesky Broncos game week 18 and then take your shot going forward in the playoffs. It's going to be a blast, though. Buckle up. It's going to be a ride.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Bo Nix going to keep the Broncos in the race all the way to the end? We've got to fight for the division there.
Early.
Yeah. Early on, I mean, just taking a look at some of these, I mean, yeah, exactly. But early on, we've got this kickoff game, Ravens at Chiefs, and then right after that, you're getting these 2 powerhouses in the AFC, Ravens and then Bengals, Joe Burrow coming in here to Kansas City. We knew they were both going to be at home. We just didn't know when. It's week 1, week 2. The Chiefs, if they came into this thinking maybe we're not focused, this is going to focus them off right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I really think that hurt them last year when they were playing the Detroit Lions. I just don't
Yeah.
think they're penalties losing the game by 1 point, and it was just that wasn't the way to get the season started. It ended great. Okay, so it really doesn't matter at this point, but I don't think they're really focused. Now you can be assured right now they have been focused ever since they saw this game come up and looked at those first two opponents and just went, hey, man, we're going to have our I's dotted and T's crossed. These are two really good football teams coming in here. But it's also great timing for them. The fact Baltimore comes in early, Chiefs will be focused. Baltimore will too. They got to play at Arrowhead. Game 2 against Cincinnati. Remember, Joe Burrow missed last season, had a wrist surgery, right? He's come back. He also has a new offensive coordinator. So it's going to be early in the season. He's still going to try to be shaking off some rust. I think it's a great time against Cincinnati.
Yeah, and Travis Kelce talked on his podcast this week about how he likes to catch these teams early, to be focused out of the gate, to be ready to roll and against two of the premier teams in the league. You can't ask for much more. If you're a Chiefs fan and a season ticket holder, you get Ravens and Bengals out of the gate. Frank, it keeps cutting in and out for you a little bit, buddy. I'm trying to make sure that we get your full thoughts, but it keeps cutting out a little bit.
Okay, I'm cutting out on you?
A little bit. Yes.
Okay, I think I'm cutting out on you, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe I'll switch. Maybe what I'll do is switch from my laptop to my phone. Give me a couple minutes.
Sure.
Yeah,
all right.
sure.
Can we do that? You sure we can do
We'll
that?
be right.
Okay.
Just roll back in.
All right, power me down from this, and we'll go from there. Let me get.
All right, sounds good. Yep.
Frank's going to come back on, guys. This is it. When we have a schedule release, things just get thrown off a little bit. It's not our normal Arrowhead Allies date or time, so we got to roll with it. We have internet.
We do, and we roll
issues
right into San Francisco with a Super Bowl 58 rematch. Brock Purdy looking at Mahomes holding up that Lombardi trophy over there. And the Niners, yes, strong, powerful team. They've got Christian McCaffrey. They brought back Brendan Ayuk. They didn't trade him. There was talk of trading Deebo Samuel. No, he's back in the fold. And of course, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, Nick Bosa. They added to that defense with Leonard Floyd coming off the edge there. So I like a lot of things that the Niners did in the offseason, but again, they just can't seem to get over that hump in the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant versus Patrick Mahomes. And I'm sorry, I think the Chiefs just handle business here again. And this is a big game. And Tom Brady is going to be on the call. So that'll be interesting to hear as well.
Can't wait for that. And if there's no McCole Hardman, I don't know how the Chiefs are going to win this game. 3 touchdowns the last time they met in San Francisco, Santa Clara, California. I'm just looking around and I'm loving these big matchups. Now, the truth of it is the Chiefs are, I would like to say in luck, but the Chiefs have been a better road team the last few years. Toughest games are at home this year, aside from the one you just mentioned. You got to go to Buffalo, which is another one you're going to be bringing up, week 11. I know that's kind of one of the marquee games we're looking at. And we know the Buffalo Bills, the roster turnover, I don't think that has been a net positive for the Bills. You talk about Stephon Diggs now being gone and replacing him, and trading with the Chiefs to let the Chiefs get the receiver they wanted. Then they get Keon Coleman. Those two will be kind of compared the rest of their careers, as it were. And the Chiefs, I don't think Patrick Mahomes has lost at Buffalo. If that game was in Kansas City, I would be a little more concerned. Good graphic there. We got some really good shots of some bison back there. Not to be offensive to any Native Americans that may be watching, that as they were starved out by the Native Americans in the early 1900s.
And as we get more into the early 1900s in history, the Bills game. You see MVS over there in the corner peeking out. They also signed Mike Edwards because Jordan Poyer left in the offseason as well, their star safety. And yeah, they just let a lot of people go. They're missing a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do on offense with MVS. And they got Curtis Samuel, and they drafted a lot of young receivers. So they're going to have to kind of figure this thing out on the fly, and it's a lot more is going to rely on Josh Allen. That's usually not a good thing. He likes to press and throw a lot of interceptions, have a lot of turnovers, run the ball more, and then he tends to fumble. So hopefully, as long as Kadarius Toney isn't lined up in the neutral zone off sides on the offense, we should be able to come out of Buffalo with a victory there.
A lot of middle fingers will be in the air that night at Orchard Park there in Buffalo, Highmark Stadium, I believe. Wow, I pulled that rabbit out of my hat.
Wow, that was a good one.
And I mean, as I look around, before we kind of get to some of the last ones, I want to save some of this for Frank, but just looking around at this schedule and trying to, you plan around this stuff. You say, forget weddings. You're not getting married during a football season during the reign of Patrick Mahomes in this Kansas City Chiefs kingdom era. You're not doing it. You're not taking the kids on Halloween hay rides. We're not having birthday parties. We are totally open to see what the schedule is. And this year it's a doozy because the Chiefs play on every day of the week except for Tuesday. You can make plans for Tuesdays, guys, but don't get too comfortable. Because that last week, January 4th or 5th, that's a Saturday or Sunday. Who knows? The NFL may just flex that one to a Tuesday and get the Chiefs running the gambit. The Chiefs are the greatest show on earth. They are the biggest microscope, the biggest target on the back, and the NFL wants to showcase their biggest asset, and they are doing it in a big way all over the National Football League, in Kansas City, and if they could have put the Chiefs back overseas in Brazil, in Germany, in England, they would have done it again this year. The Chiefs already played last year in Germany. Thank goodness, or this would have got even more cray-cray, buddy.
Yeah, and you can make your plans for Tuesday by tuning into Arrowhead Allies, 6 to 7 p.m. Central every Tuesday night. There will not be an NFL game, we don't think. There's not one scheduled as the schedule is being released. So you should be free to tune in every Tuesday night to catch us and the boys here at Arrowhead Allies on Starcade Media. But like you talked about, this schedule, we really wanted to go to that Steelers game. That's one we had kind of earmarked.
Killer.
We had looked at when we saw the opponents coming up this year. We're in Pittsburgh. We're friends with Charlie Batch, who lives in Pittsburgh and does some pregame and some radio work with the Steelers. We can hang out with him, go grab dinner, and then it's Christmas. It's literally like the one day it cannot be, and it's that day. Darn for us.
The one day. Yeah, the one day. That was our, we try to go to a road game every year. Last year, unfortunately / fortunately, it was Green Bay. The outcome was horrendous. The game was terrible. Chiefs were never really competitive. But what an ambience, what a stadium, what an atmosphere. I know a lot of you guys like to go to road games, especially in the tickets for less / Vivid Seats / SeatGeek era, where you can hop on, buy tickets, go to any game. The ruse of, you can only go to a game if it's in your home stadium, that is over. You can travel, you can get anywhere. Christmas Day, though, buddy, I think we're out on that one, and that hurts to say. Maybe at Carolina week 12, you want to go see a sure win and in a nice place with got good weather all year round. How about Charlotte? I'm up for that.
Yeah, I would sign up for that. Absolutely. And do we have got Frank maybe popping back in here, but that Carolina is something that definitely piques my interest. And do we have Frank here?
I'm back.
We do.
Yes, back. Love it.
He's not
I'm finally
pixelated.
back.
He's in full 100%. This is great. We're just going through it. And I mean, kind of going off the heading kind of into this week 13, this tradition now is playing of the Raiders. It's Black Friday. I mean, it's just kind of perfect. It was a Black Christmas last year in Kansas City. I hope it's not a Black Friday, silver and black in Kansas City here. The Raiders think they have a formula. Hopefully that formula is not completing 0 passes to beat the Chiefs again. The Chiefs will be looking for a little bit of, dare I say, revenge, even though the Raiders are 4-18 against Kansas City in their last 22.
And we still don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I don't know about any of these revenge games or these big games, these certain games that, Marty Schottenheimer used to always prepare for the Raiders week or whatever. I think these players are a little bit different than those players. There's a lot of crossover with these players. Patrick Mahomes is out playing golf with Josh Allen, and, it's a different world. So I really don't think that the rivalry situation really hits the players as much as it hits the fans. Now, do they want to win the game? Do they remember what happened last year? Yes. It'll be interesting to see where they are in the season, wins and losses wise, before that game as well. That'll impact it much more than it happens to be the Las Vegas Raiders.
I know we already talked about week 1 and we're way past that, but I did want to mention how Frank, our Starcade Media Arrowhead Allies correspondent here, is going to be in Brazil Friday for Packers Eagles, covering that for us, right, Frank?
That's so fun.
Gosh, to be on the beach at Rio. Oh, good Lord. I'll tell you what, now there's a trip. There's a trip to take. That is a great overseas trip, is to go to Brazil for a football game. Would that be fun or what?
Wow, you sold me. I'm in. I was kind of worried about international travel to South America during early September, but you might have sold me. Okay, here's the thing, Frank. Noah's really picky. Okay, is there anything for him to eat over there?
Surely there's got to be. There's just got to be.
Well, probably a lot more than I know because I haven't been there. Okay, so
okay.
The deal is, I'm sure the fish is terrific. Anything out of the ocean is going to be great, and it is a beautiful country. They have a lot of tourist places to go. Rio is just an incredible place. Supposedly, I haven't been there yet, but I hear it's just terrific. But I think that'd really be a cool trip to take.
We'll start filing out for credentials for you right now. So
there you go.
Well, kind of, Frank, before we lost you, we were kind of just talking about the end of the season, and we kind of brought up the Raiders there. We're like week 16 against the Texans, week 17. And I think we looked at it before we came on. You're talking about playing 3 games in 10 days during this in December in cold stadiums. I mean, this is going to take a toll mentally and physically on this team. We'll see what they're made of, kind of coming out of the gate and at the very end here.
Yeah, right. On December 15th, they play at Cleveland, right?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They play at Cleveland. Then they turn around and they have to play Houston, okay, on Saturday the 21st. That's going to be a tough game, but they do have them in Kansas City. But then they turn around, another AFC North game. They go to Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't care what you say about the Steelers quarterback situation, whatever they're into. Mike Tomlin knows how to coach football. He knows how to coach the football. They know how to play cold. I know the Chiefs do too, but the Steelers are built for that cold weather games. Those run ball, play defense, and then we'll let the chips on egg. So I think that stretch is very different, not just from the standpoint of it. 2 games in 10 days, the 3 teams they are playing in those 10 days have a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, Browns, Texans, Steelers, not an easy game in that kind of trio right there.
Well, what I want to know, guys, forget some of this. We can overanalyze this. We can pick a record. We can go game by game, but I want to know, of these 17 games, which ones and how many are Taylor Swift going to be at? Because I got to know right now. I mean,
I'll let you two figure that out, okay? I have no idea where her concert tour is going to be taking her by that time.
Come on, you've got it memorized. You've got it written down. You've got it. The whole date's written right there. I know you're looking at tickets already for the summer. Like, let's just be honest. I don't know. I think for sure you can count on her September 5th against the Ravens. I mean, the NFL is gonna want that. And, San Francisco, Santa Clara, it'd probably be appealing. We can get her there. She's going to be back in Las Vegas. We could probably speculate and get all these correct. I think she'll be at least half of them.
Yeah, well, I think she'll be at a lot of the games. Obviously, she has her own jet too, so you don't have to worry about. She has 2 jets actually. You don't have to worry about as far as the games are home or away. It won't matter if she's available. And I don't know when her concert tour ends. I have no idea. So
it's never ending.
Once the tour ends, I think,
it's never ending.
Well,
it is
the money she's making. It should be never ending.
Yeah, this is great. Are you guys the types? And Frank, I remember hearing you a lot on 810 back in the day. You'd always talk about do you guys like to formulate a record based on when the schedule comes out? A lot of people like to do that. I think it's kind of disingenuous, but do you like to look at a schedule, and this goes for both of you, Noah and Frank, and come up with a record right off the bat? Or is that kind of like overanalyzing at this point?
No, I think everybody does it. I mean, I just think they look at, okay, this one, that one. Then you'll see some garbage team sandwiched in between 2 tough opponents, and you end up picking that as an upset loss, and they're doing all that sort of thing. But I mean, if you look at the Chiefs, you look at their past record over the past bunch of years. I mean, they're going to win between 11 and 14 of these. So right in there somewhere. So if you say 12 or 13 wins, I think that's probably right where it's going to be. They're not going to go undefeated. That just doesn't happen in the NFL. Too difficult to do. Too many games. So
Too many
I just
Kadarius
think
Tonys and Sky Moores on your roster.
Yeah, what's that?
Too many Kadarius
Say it
Tonys
again.
and Sky Moores on your
Oh
roster.
gosh, too many. Well, and then we have no idea where Rashee Rice is going to be. Okay,
Rashee
so
Rice.
that's an interesting situation. So that will, especially, you're probably figuring he's going to be missing the first half of the season, maybe right in that area somewhere. At least that's the speculation. We've seen it all before. NFL doesn't like this sort of thing. Then he turns around and has the alleged nightclub incident after it's over, and then we find out now that he was taken off a lot of teams, draft boards because of the fact he had an incident or two in college and high school. And you just go, that's why those teams weren't interested in drafting him, but the Chiefs moved up, they grabbed him. And then the next thing you know, after a great opening season as a rookie, these two things happened to him back to back. It's not a good look. Texas justice is pretty tough, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah, very well said. James Palmer was on Steve Smith's podcast. He said he's going to be suspended. Let's just put it out there. They're expecting, and they being the Chiefs, half a season at least. And I think that's a lot. So you hear a lot of fans saying he should get a whole season because of what he's done and the fact that this has continued on. And are they going to take, not that they're going to suspend for that, but take into account his college and perhaps high school incidents and kind of factor that into, man, this seems to be kind of a pattern with him, and we need to nip this in the bud and make an example out of him, because obviously what he did on the highway there, and then the incident at the nightclub, and now we're hearing these pre-draft stories. It's just, like you said, a bad look, and the NFL is going to come down, I think, swiftly on Rashee.
Yeah, it was pretty, the worst part, not only are you going 120 miles an hour on a Dallas freeway, 6:30 on a Saturday night, but once the accident occurs and there's a minivan and you're thinking right away, family, is there a family in that van or whatever? And the first thing you get up and do is you leave the scene of crime. So that's terrible. Yeah. And then I'm sure he's admonished by Clark Hunt and everything on the staff. He was probably admonished by the NFL at that point. And you turn around in another alleged incident in a nightclub at 2:30 in the morning where you supposedly, allegedly called this guy back to the club in order to assault him. I mean, that's premeditated assault. It's not like premeditated murder, but that's sort of a premeditated assault. If that actually happened, that is a really bad look. So once the NFL was thinking about, okay, we're going to suspend him for X amount of games for leaving the scene of an accident and causing bodily harm to people, well, now what are we going to do? We pile this on top. We've got to put more games on this as well. So I think it's at least half the season, if not more.
And that's probably why they took a receiver in the first round. Maybe they were wanting to take a tackle because that's a position of need, and they don't have a solidified starter at the left tackle spot. But with Rashee's off-field incidents, like, hey, we need to get another weapon in here because we don't like a lot that we see out there in free agency that's sitting there. And now with this, we're not sure what we have in our own room. So let's go out and get a Xavier Worthy and bring him in. Of course, Mahomes was excited about him. But we also want to get your thoughts because we haven't heard from you on the stadium and how it was turned down, voted down, and now we get these renderings out here of a stadium over in Kansas and domed or maybe partial. Maybe it can be open roof. And what you think of kind of that process, and if you think this is inevitable that it will be in Kansas.
Anything's inevitable right now. I think Kansas is definitely a possibility. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So don't sell them short. They've got a pool of money that they have in their coffers that is specifically to try to a professional sports team to the state of Kansas and specifically to that area, Wyandotte County, right over there, especially Western Wyandotte, where there's a lot of land out there. And they could build a stadium from scratch. They'll have plenty of parking for tailgating, and they could do basically what they want. I think the best thing that happened was the fact that now the Royals and the Chiefs are split apart vote, and they're two
Yeah.
separate entities as far as Jackson County is concerned. And that will help as well, because I think, the Royals haven't been that great lately. I don't think people in any case the taxpayer in any case does not want to pay money to help a billionaire and billionaires to help them build stadiums. They think that they should do it themselves. Situation as well. They're asking for money from taxpayers, and taxpayers are seeing what's happening in Kansas City, and they're going, we don't want to pay for that. We don't want to pay for that building. Let them pay for it, And it doesn't seem like this might be different if they do up and leave. I don't think they're going to leave the area, either team, but there's definitely a possibility the Chiefs can end up in Kansas. I still think the Royals are going to end up in Jackson County. I still think that's going to happen. It'll still be a battle, but I still think they'll end up in Jackson County, and I think they'll end up at the original spot in eastern Jackson County. So we'll have to see. They're not going to end up there at the crossroads. I mean, that just raised all kinds of hell. So that's but the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs have a definite possibility of going to Kansas. But here's my big deal for it as well. Please put a roof or a retractable roof on the stadium. I'm not against outdoor weather and the weather situation. That doesn't bother me. I just think we shoot ourselves in the foot by not being able to utilize a stadium of that size only 9 or 10 times a year, right? If you get a roof on there, we'll get a Super Bowl. Clark Huntsman promised that from the commissioner. We'll get a Final Four. We'll get that rotation because everybody knows how big and how much we love college basketball in this area. Might get a new Big 12 playoff game, okay? You might get, who knows? And you can get your Final Fours, and you can have winter concerts, the big, like Tay-Tay. You can get the giant concerts inside a domed Arrowhead over the winter, and I think that's important.
Yeah, and we've seen enough negative 27-degree games with people having fingers and toes amputated. I think we've seen enough of that. Frank, I'm sure you've covered this topic a lot on your podcast. There's something about Kansas City. I think you just reached your 40th episode. Tell us what's coming up next. What can people hear? This podcast has gone so well, and it really keeps people up to date. You've just been such a person that a respected figure here in Kansas City for so long. And now to take this podcast, it's going to the next level. You've had so many great guests. What is on the horizon for you on this show?
Yeah. Hey, yeah. And I really appreciate you asking. We just dropped our 40th episode. We dropped them every Tuesday about 9:30 in the morning. We just had Jason Kander on. He is the former politician who was a military intelligence guy over in Afghanistan. And when he came back, he decided to, be busy 24/7. So he didn't have to think about things like his PTSD that he had suffered over there or depression. Wow. You know how men are. We don't want to admit those things happen to us. And he was going to be the next mayor of Kansas City after Sly James. But he was well ahead in that race. But he just abruptly dropped his political career, and went and took care of himself for his family. He just went back. He went into, talk to people and do the whole thing. But when he came out, he, during this period of time is when we pulled out of Afghanistan, just left about 20,000 American collaborators in Afghanistan, left them behind. And those people were in grave danger of losing their lives to the Taliban. They're on every Taliban's hit list. And he has gone in there. And so far, he and his organization have rescued almost 3,000 of the 20,000 we left behind. And Jason was had got the first group out of 383 people by disguising the mass exodus as all these people gathering in this one spot near an airport where they were at a wedding, a wedding. They went in there about 3:00 in the morning, told them all to bring one little bag. They put them on a transport plane and flew them out of Afghanistan. That was just the first flight. Now they are continuing to do it. So we just had Jason on this week, and it's a phenomenal story. We have Billy Brindlecom. He's on next week. I don't know if you remember the name, but you do remember the name Thunder Gong. Okay, Billy's the next drummer. Okay, he's a rock band drummer, and he lived 7 years in Nashville as a session artist. You know, those guys are in the studio with all these big name stars, and he was the drummer for them. You know, putting together their albums and stuff like that. So we have him coming on. Before that, of course, we've had people like Sly James and other her name at the moment. But yeah, we've had Brenton, the former general manager of the Sprint Center, Kevin Harlan. We've had Big Sonia, the Holocaust survivor. We've had Cliff Hilly, found Sterner with Neil Patterson, and we've had him on. And we had Michael on, who named every Italian between. He's afraid he's going to leave somebody out. We had a great time with him, but we've had all kinds of wonderful people on there. So check it out. There's just something about Kansas City. We drop it every Tuesday, and it's not just sports, and that's what we want you to know. But it was my wife's brainchild. I thought I was going to be able to sit back, relax, and just play golf. But that happens. So yeah, just check out. There's something about KC.
Frank, it's great. We appreciate you coming in and giving us your thoughts here. We can't thank you enough, man. Can't wait to get the season going. We'll do it again. We know you're our go-to. You know, when Taylor turns us down, when Taylor Swift says, guys, not this week, we go right to Frank Boal, and he never let us down. And we thank you for that, sir. And thank you for your thoughts today, my man.
Hey, here's the guy. Hey, here's the only problem. Here's the guys who let you down. Lance, Shaggy, okay, Be Shining. They're the ones that left you down. I would never leave you down. All right. I'm in your corner. Those guys, no idea why they have the day off when they're releasing the NFL schedule. No idea.
Yeah.
I agree. It is egregious, and that's why we count on you, Frank. You always have our back, and it's always an honor to have you on. The Godfather of Kansas City sports. We can't thank you enough. We thank everybody for tuning in here to Arrowhead Allies. Until next time, we'll see you right here on Starcade Media and Arrowhead Allies.
Thanks, Frank.
Hey,